Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. I hope you guys are doing well. And finally, today is the day where I share with you how the carnivore diet changed my life. Now, that's quite a big statement to make in the first 20 seconds of a video, but the reality of it is that it did. Let me explain. So, back in April 15th, like this April, basically last April, I've decided to go on to the carnivore diet for the main reason that I suffer from IBS/D, and pretty much it's a shit show when it comes to eating and problems with regards to digestion and gut. Now, the main reason why I started the carnivore diet is because I've been getting a lot of feedback and I've been reading a lot about it, and I've also had friends that started this diet and it changed their life, and they were telling me how better they feel on this diet. And the more I looked into it, the more I discovered how beneficial this can be to actually have healing properties for what I suffer from. And so that's what I did. I basically started a carnivore diet 12 weeks ago, to be exact now. And while carnivore diet can be split into multiple segments, so the strictest form can be beef and water. And then I was doing the one where I ate all kinds of meats, unprocessed, and beef, pork, lamb, uh, chicken, fish, anything, any type of meat, and eggs, milk, cheeses, and these kinds of things. So basically, those plus the only exception that I've allowed myself to do is have black coffee and unsweetened tea. Some people will do it with that, and some people will try to avoid coffee and tea altogether. I've decided to maintain that as it's something that would really affect the way my mood would be if I had to cut coffee. You guys know. So I've decided to start this diet and I've committed to a minimum of 12 weeks. Now, let me just run you through the first few weeks. So, week one was okay. Like, probably I wasn't still in ketosis as my body was still burning the stored carbohydrates. One thing that I did notice on week one was the energy level was constant, something that I haven't felt for probably years now. And it was quite amazing and quite cool to experience from the start. So that's something that I've actually experienced from, I think, day one or two. And it's been quite eye opening at that stage to experience something like that. Week 2 to 6. Oh my man, those weeks were quite hell, man. Realistically, week 2 to 6 were the adaptation phases. And obviously, given the fact that I do suffer from stomach complications, it made it even worse. And by this, I mean the adaptation phase was genuine hell. So, constant runny stool, constant cramps, pain. I was having like I was feeling very lethargic, like very without energy, um, not feeling ideal. I had keto flu and a bunch of other symptoms. So I wasn't really having a good time on this diet between those few weeks. But as my friend Mark advised, he said, keep pushing through it, like things will get better. And I was reading a lot on this diet. I was looking the symptoms up, and it seems like the majority of people do actually go through these symptoms. And this occurs because your body is adapting to the way it digests its food. So imagine you are start like normally diet is with carbohydrates, and that's something that the body is used to digest, and suddenly you're eating protein and fats only. So imagine like it requires a certain type of digestion. Obviously, this does take a toll on the body, and obviously your body needs to adapt to the new way of eating. So this is what was happening, I would assume. And pretty much those were week 2 to 6. Quite, I would say, not ideal. I mean, I was still eating like normal foods, like for example beef, chicken. Like I maintained the carnivore diet very strictly, so I didn't slack one single meal, which I'm very proud of. And one thing I've also noticed is the between week 2 to 6, you start getting those heavy cravings for carbohydrates, for sugars, for sweets, whatever. And you just push through them. You just literally have to push through them. It also takes a lot of mental effort to actually stick with this. However, from week 6 till basically 12, things started to change. I started noticing more energy, more clarity. The runny stool started to slow down and like it started to become normal again. I started to eat well, eat comfortably, not feel bloated, not feel like crap after I eat. So, literally constant energy. And it started getting better. And it kept getting better. So, realistically speaking, in the last 6 weeks, I've also gained about 3 to 4 kilo of muscle mass. Obviously, as you guys know, I train in the gym, and that's one thing where I had some concerns too about losing weight, but I tried to make sure that I maintain my caloric intake, which was quite easy to do, to be honest. I was surprised. Like I lost fat and gained muscle in 6 to 8 weeks, which is quite good actually. I was quite happy. Like I'm the biggest I've ever been. Now I'm not trying to compete as a bodybuilder. However, I didn't notice any particular like losses in the gym. And the way I train, as you might probably know, I train calisthenics slash weights. While I did on some days not have the energy to maintain the usual output, average, like I still felt better, I still maintained, and I still actually gained skill and whatever. So it wasn't any backward steps in the gym, which was obviously a bonus. Now, obviously, you have to keep in mind that I'm consuming probably around 200 grams of protein every day. So, I mean, that's quite a lot of protein. Now, the benefits that I've noticed, as I mentioned before, were those. Let's talk about some side effects about of this diet. The adaptation phase can be quite challenging, quite hell, and also when traveling, it can be even more challenging. Now, it's not that difficult to find steakhouses, but as you guys can imagine, it can get pretty costly. I remember when we were in Geneva, it got pretty costly. I mean, easily about 100 euros per meal for steak can be not ideal. However, if you plan well, if you are smart, you can actually basically work your way around it. So that's what it needs: a bit more planning, it needs a bit more thinking of, and you should be able to manage fine. On a daily basis, yes, you do end up spending more money on meat and fish. However, you tend to reduce the eating outs because if I eat out all the time, I'm going to be spending 50, 60 euros on steaks every time, and it's only a small portion. Whether if I grab that amount that of money that I spend on eat outs and takeouts, basically what I can do is put that into my groceries and buy a few cuts of steak with that. My life got simpler in a way. Now I don't really have to complicate the way I eat. I eat almost the same stuff, although I do tend to sometimes have different cuts and meats. On Sundays, I like to treat myself, and it's like my cheat meal. However, my cheat meal is a higher quality cut steak. For example, instead of buying the usual rump steak, I go for some Argentinian premium ribeye or whatever, you know? It's also good to kind of like treat yourself to nicer cuts and something that you really enjoy. One thing that I've noticed also on this diet, something I wasn't doing in the beginning, was in the early stages, I was eating too lean. So what was happening was that my body was not finding fats to burn to turn into energy, which means that you will have less energy. The one thing that really opened up my eyes was the way how this diet literally made me realize that the food we eat, the normal food we eat, are full of processed garbage, and they are designed to make us feel sick. They are designed to make us low on energy. Like, think about it: when you eat a plate of pasta, you can't do any deep work after that. Like I can have a 600-gram steak and I can just go straight into a work session, a work block. So think about this. And I've also managed to convince some other friends to try this, and they all say the same thing about this diet, which means that how this is something that is not just myself. Like there's a lot of people which are saying how this diet genuinely changed their life. So imagine what it can do to you if you do decide to give it a shot. It can be challenging, it does take more planning, it does cost more, but in the end, what do you prefer? Like, I prefer to spend a bit more money on food and lower it from somewhere else so I can feel better about myself, which in turn will be an increase in output and better energy. So I look at this also as a way of investing in myself, and I really did see a big change. And I will, moving forward, I think I will continue this diet. Probably, I don't know. I mean, so far I don't have any cravings. Like all the cravings disappeared. So like nowadays I don't really miss having a plate of pasta anymore. I don't really miss having Cinnabon or pizza or Dunkin' Donuts when I travel. Like, nah, it's okay. I mean, you don't really need to eat this type of food. Like, why would I want to eat something that will make me feel like crap after? So I'm not saying that I will never eat that stuff, but for now I will maintain a clean, healthy diet, as I did see the benefits that this had in my life, and I do think that it is worth giving it a shot. I will be conducting probably blood work in the next few months to see that everything's still in line, because a lot of people will say, oh, it's high in cholesterol, high sodium, high salts, but we'll see. We will see. Until the blood work comes, like, I can only describe how I'm feeling personally myself, but so far, it's been positive. So hopefully it stays this way. And I do encourage you guys to give it a shot, especially if you are suffering from certain conditions. And while I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, this is just basing my experience on it. Everyone has a different body. I do think that you should do your own research on this. If you do give this a shot, do let me know in the comments down below, and let me know if you have any questions that I can answer on this diet. Now, obviously, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm just giving experience based information. So I'm just relating back to you guys what I've experienced in the last few months. It's been a good ride. So probably I will maintain this diet and I will not stop for the time being. So without further ado, I'll leave you guys to it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Drop your questions in the comments or obviously in the chat, and I'll see you guys in the next one.